This is my road bike with hydraulic disc brakes, and virtually every road bike made like this will use a disc rotor similar to this one where the brake track is made of steel. However, I'm running something very different. Now, firstly, forgive the state of my bike. It's covered in mud and grime because I was out riding in the rain yesterday. But for the last few months, I've been rocking these. They're disc rotors made of carbon ceramic. And it's not phony stuff like carbon mixed with a high temperature resin. These are legitimate carbon ceramic made in pretty much the same way as disc rotors you'd see on really high-end race cars like a GT3 RS, for example. They come with their own special brake pad compound. The bedding in process is completely different to regular steel rotors, and as I'm sure you can imagine, so is the braking performance. Now, to answer a few common questions, the ceiling for brake fade on these is much higher than regular steel rotors, but you don't need to build heat into the disc in order for them to work properly. The bite from cold is actually really decent. I think most people kind of confuse them with carbon brakes that are used in really high-end motorsport like Formula One, and in that case, yes, you do need to build heat into those, but these are made of carbon ceramic. It's a different beast. They're much lighter than regular steel disc rotors, and because they're carbon ceramic, they're incredibly hard, like a 9 to a 9.5 on the Mohs hardness scale, so close to diamond, but because of that, they're quite brittle, so if you were to smack them by accident, you could relatively easily crack the carbon ceramic and then right off the rotor. I don't have the final retail price, but they're expensive, about $250 to $300 per rotor. So yeah, premium gear. But other than the really high ceiling on brake fade, there are some other advantages. Wet weather performance is surprisingly fantastic. So as mentioned, I was out in the wet yesterday, hence all this crud on my bike. And yeah, not too much brake squeal. And the water seems to be cleaned off the discs very quickly. So I feel like you can get on the brakes much faster than you can with regular steel disc rotors. In fact, I would go as far as to say they're some of the best performing brakes in the wet that I've ever tried. Also, the level of modulation out of these brakes is just next level. They feel so controllable and so linear in their kind of application of braking force. It's something that I think steel honestly struggles to match. In fact, I was out on a bike with regular steel rotors very recently, and these just felt so much more grabby in comparison. All in all, these are incredibly interesting, probably overkill for a road bike like this, but long form review on these coming very soon.